All right, so you entered this competition, and I know you've entered other competitions in the past. How
hmm
did the Lowell Milken Center for Unsung Heroes Artifact project differ from those ones, from previous ones?
Well, most of the competitions that I usually enter, they don't necessarily have like a set thing that you have to go by, like a theme or anything like that. So this competition was very interesting because you are actually like choosing from a list of people who have done stuff that have never been recognized until now.
Yeah.
So that was kind of interesting to me. And then also a lot of the competition that I've entered in, it will probably be based on like a certain type of artwork that you could enter, a certain type of medium that you could enter in for it. So it wasn't necessarily like anything based off of history. It was always like something where you just enter in the artwork and you win something.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of what I liked about this artwork.
Yeah, like there's more of a story that goes along with it than
Yeah.
solely the artwork. And actually,
Yeah.
on that, I noticed your submission, both in your artist statement and then just the artwork itself, there's a lot of
hmm
storytelling elements. And is this something that
Yeah.
you strive for in all of your artwork, or is this something that you wanted to do specifically with this competition?
Yeah, a lot of my artworks, I like to like put meaning behind them. I don't necessarily like just draw anything, but like I try to make sure that all my art tells a story. Not it doesn't necessarily have to be about my life, but it could be about anything in general, just as long as it captivates the reader.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And has the unsung hero you picked influenced your life or the way you view life in any capacity today? And if so, how?
Um, I guess I could just say that it helps me be more recognizable of things that are going on. Like it just helps me like focus on like the history behind things and how things actually like took place and not necessarily paying attention to things that were like done all out in the open, since he was actually the person that I actually like did my research on. He was actually combating the Nazis actions in the shadows. So
Hmm.
I guess just paying more attention to people who weren't necessarily always recognized, but at the same time they had some type of legacy that they left behind.
Yeah, like a lot of history just focuses on the main characters or the people who are at the
Yeah.
front and not the people working
Yeah.
behind the scenes. Um, you wrote in, I think it might be on your website that you
hmm
mentioned, or your artist statement, you said you cultivated a passion for drawing at a really young age.
hmm
What like sparked that interest and how have you kept that interest going over the years?
So I first started drawing around probably 6 or 7. I was around first grade, and I was at home one day, and my dad, he had drew Ghost Rider from the movie, and so he drew it, and I was like so fascinated by it. I was like, oh, I want to try it out. I want to try it
Uh-huh.
out. So I started like practicing and like coloring it and drawing it, and then from there it kind of sprung from that to like drawing like horses, because I was like really like fascinated by horses too. So I used to draw horses all the time, and then when I got into the APAC program, they kind of enriched me a little bit more and helped me with my arts techniques and skills. And so it kind of like progressed as I got older.
Gotcha. So it
hmm
started with your parents. Are they both artistic as well, or is it just your dad? Or
Oh, my dad, my sister, and a couple of uncles that I have on both sides.
that's cool. That's like all in
hmm
your family.
Yeah.
And then I know religion plays like a really large role in your life. Does that impact your artwork as well? And if so, how?
Yeah, I gave my life to Christ when I was 7. So being a Christian, I've kind of learned a lot since given my life to God. Um, I'm just learning every day, just gaining more wisdom and just trying to be more knowledgeable about things, because it really helps you when stuff like this is going on in the world.
Yeah,
So that impacts me a lot.
gotcha.
hmm
And I guess that's kind of tied to that, but you mentioned wanting to give back to your community and everything using your art. So,
Oh yeah.
like, why? I mean, I feel like it's kind of clear why everyone wants to represent and support where they came from, but what is it specifically about your community that inspires that? And what do you have in mind specifically?
So I plan on going to college to be an architect. So I want to well come back to Jackson and kind of help revitalize the city a bit, because we do have a lot of like abandoned buildings or buildings that aren't being used, and we have a lot of streets that have a lot of buildings that aren't being like renovated or anything. So I kind of wanted to help out my city by revitalizing the city a bit and kind of building back up the city in a way.
That's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. And then I noticed on your website that you had commission prices. At what point did you, I guess, what was the turning point when you were like, oh, art is really cool, to turning it into something you're like, oh, I could profit from this and turn this into an actual career?
Yeah, so there was an incident that happened where I had made a commission for a woman. She ended up not really liking it. So she was trying to lower the price. You could say after we had already agreed, like before the artwork was even made, that would be the price. So she tried to lower the price and everything. And so that kind of really bothered me. And so my art teacher was like, don't do any more commissions until you make a price list. So I got with one of my sister's friends, and he helped me out make a price list and reimburse myself for all the different stuff that like I have to like buy again once I use my materials for that particular artwork.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a funny story.
And who are your current art inspirations?
I'm really obsessed with Michelangelo, because I love
Classic.
the fact that he's like skilled in like every different area of like art. Like it's amazing to me. Like architecture, he would do designs all the time. He would make sculptures, he drew, he painted. Just a lot of different things that he was like talented in.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Are there any current art projects that you're working on right now? And if you're comfortable sharing, could you?
I just recently finished the artwork based off of the killing of George Floyd, kind of like addressing politics and how the system is so corrupted and stuff. So I did an artwork of that recently, and I posted that on my Instagram page. And I was pretty proud of that. I'm planning on doing another project based off how religion and politics kind of coincides a bit when it comes to like warfare, and this idea of spiritual warfare and how we're having like warfare on earth and something like that. So hopefully I dive into that soon.
That's cool. That's a topic you can go into for like in a way. Cool. And then you mentioned earlier that with all your artwork, you kind of want to have a story behind it. What are some of like the major goals you have with your artwork, and what are the messages that you want to communicate?
I just want people, a lot of times in all my artwork, I make sure that they're like super realistic, because I want it to like really encompass like the realism of life, like nature itself. And so I try to focus on making sure that all my artworks are realistic and detailed, because I want people to see detail when they see my artwork. And that's like something that's unique for me. Since I'm like a huge fan of detail, I like my artwork to be in like detail. I just want people to notice that a lot of my artwork is based on religion, because I feel like religion isn't really like a thing that people like, I'm trying to see how I can say this. They don't really talk about it that much to where like it's like important. Like they kind of like shade it off to this particular thing and make it seem like it's this, but it's really not, and it's more than what they say it is. So I want to give off like a different view of Christianity in a way.
Cool.
So that's pretty much my sole goal.
Yeah, thanks for joining me today.
Awesome, you too.